Hello and welcome to FinextraTV. I'm Liam Xavier and we're going to be talking today about data management. Helping me in that conversation is Adrien Chenailler, the Global Director of AI Solutions at Cloudera. Lovely to have you here, Adrien.
Thanks for having me. Very happy to be here with you.
Beautiful. So if we talk about data management right now, data we all know is pretty crucial. How educated would you say people are when it comes to secure and effective data management?
Yeah, I think we are still struggling, but we are not struggling because people are uneducated. We are struggling because data is getting spread across the entire organization. Take a step back 10 years ago. You will have a lot of data, mostly confined in the IT department, with data engineers that were mainly technical people answering business requirements. And what has happened over the last 10 years is that data spread across. You no longer have the data engineers and the data folks in the IT department. You have them in business units, running query, running dashboards, making analysis, running data science, doing AI. So you have a lot more people. And with this came the challenge, obviously, of data security and data management became a lot more difficult. It's easier when it's confined to a department. It's a lot more difficult when it's on a business unit, in a business unit, for instance. So obviously, we are still unprepared for this kind of evolution, but not unprepared because the people are unprepared because the organization needs to get ready at this kind of data governance, where business is involved into it and align with the data security, the data governance that is usually led by the technical people, the IT department. And this takes time still to have a good data practice. So a lot of effort are being put around governance, understanding the lineage, using the tools provided by the IT department. But we still know that it's about the people, so we still need a lot of training in the business unit in order to reach a satisfying solution.
And the term we're hearing quite a bit is hybrid data. Could you give us a bit of a definition there and also how influential that'll be in this new era of technology, modernization, and especially AI?
So hybrid data just means, in the past you will have a data warehouse, and that's pretty much all, right? You have a single infrastructure and you're trying to plug in all your data source into it. Now, going back to the first question where we talked about data being spread across the organization, you're also opening the doors to business unit having different tools, because they have different characteristics. One particular business unit may be more interested in a lot of real-time data, high volume, and therefore we need very specialized tool for this. Another one will be more interested for a bit slower data, maybe unstructured documents. We need different tools for this. So hybrid data refers to the ability to combine various cloud providers, on-premise infrastructure, and combine them together in still keeping a unified way of accessing and dealing with this data, which is what Cloudera is actually providing on top of these cloud providers or this on-prem solution. It's provide governance in a variety of tools. And obviously, there's quite a lot of benefits for enterprise, avoiding vendor lock-in to a particular cloud or a particular type of technology, but also optimizing for their cost. There might be solutions that are cheaper. And also, why would you want to manage your data in a single way when you may have different requirements? Take, for instance, your application data, even for financial services, which I take care of. It's not that sensitive. Data is born on the internet when you are connecting on your app. Now think about the core banking data, where the transactions are actually happening. Your account numbers are being computed. Why would you want to treat these two types of data in the same way, with the same tool, with the same level of governance? You need different tools. You probably need different governance around it. And that's why we go with hybrid data. Maybe one cloud provider provides a better strategy for this type of data. Maybe another one for this. Maybe for this very sensitive data, it has to remain on-prem for regulatory reason or for data privacy reason. And that's what we are here to provide for.
You mentioned unification there and some of these ways to solve some of the issues and where governance comes in especially. Does that help solve what you were saying at the beginning, where perhaps it's not bad education, but it's split across different departments? Yeah,
obviously you want to unify, so you want unified data, but you also want unified governance around it. It's not because you will have many cloud providers that you would like to manage the access right in every single cloud providers. Otherwise, it becomes an audit nightmare for particularly for financial institutions that are highly regulated. So you probably still want to minimize your cost of audit, the cost of checking who has access to what and are they allowed to have access to it. I was working in banks before. I was head of data science and AI, and you have to certify that the people who have access to an application, to data at column level, are entitled to see this data. And that's a lot of effort. And it also, the more system you have that are open, the more potential for data leak you have, or the more potential for non-compliance you may have.
And we know now that data is important and AI is not going anywhere. That part in between where we're serving the data to AI and perhaps other automating technologies, what are the three key, I guess, quality aspects that we're looking for to make sure it's going to be fine once it's passed over?
Yeah, so obviously there's a lot of things we can look at in the data side. But first, data must be available, right? There's no point in having silos in your organization and then people just recreate new data pipeline that are doing exactly the same thing. So availability and I would say observability of this data, knowing that it exists in some cases, is even a challenge. The next bite, I will talk a lot more for agentic AI and these kind of new use cases where we say, it's brand new, but we need to connect this agent, this AI to our data. It's not brand new. It's still the old school garbage in, garbage out, right? That's exactly the same thing happening over and over again. And that's why, I'm sitting here with you while I'm an AI expert saying that data is the foundation for it, because for this second point, hear me out very clearly. If your agent do not leverage your data, then they are not proprietary agent. They are just a chat GPT that you can find online for $10, right? You don't need to invest millions of dollars for this. The last part, for data to be useful, and I kind of hinted at it in the second answer, it has to be proprietary data. There is no point in accumulating data that is already available on the internet or that is widespread around. I'm thinking a lot about some financial institutions now that are looking at financial report of publicly listed company, 10Qs and these kind of reports. They are publicly available. Why would you try to develop something meaningful on top of this? There are already a lot of providers doing this. However, when you look at your fraud data, the fraud pattern you have on your particular system, that's much more interesting. When you look at your small and medium enterprise business, which is very particular to you, some banks specialize in agriculture, some banks specialize more into manufacturing type of business, and they will have particularity where they can develop a way to process the data that gives them a competitive advantage, and this way to process the data then flow into AI, and AI become a competitive advantage. So the entire value chain needs to be assessed and not just I have data, let's make use of it, right? It has to be proprietary, unique, and useful for the business.
I think that's a really great point to end on there. It's been so interesting to speak to you and hear some of your insights from the knowledge you've gained across your years in the industry. So thanks for joining us in the studio.
Thanks a lot for having me.